You're now listening to Friendship Series Story Number 1. I will be talking about one of my best friends, Amy. Yes, we have the same name, but spelled differently. So, grab a drink and let's talk. Welcome back to MidnightO2 Season 3, Episode 11. This is your host, Amy. I know it's been a while since I last updated, and the reason was because I flew back to Seattle. So that was a good thing. And over the past month, I was reorganizing all my stuffs from Taiwan to Seattle. And I'm glad to be telling you my exciting updates today. And like I promised, in the next 4 weeks, I will be doing episodes on people that make a difference in my life. And today, I love to talk about one of my best friends and how we met and our stories in London. So, story time. So this friend of mine, we met because we were roommates when we went to London for study abroad. This was years ago, back in 2016. And at first, I didn't think this girl would make such a difference in my life, but I'm glad she showed up and we became really, really close friends. So, there were about 24 people in our group, in our classes, and we took architecture, theater, English, Shakespeare, all the classes together. So of course we got close, and there was a lot of working. I'm so glad that this girl, my friend, was able to get me everywhere. As in, dragged me everywhere. Okay, not like that, but she was like, Amy, you really gotta go. We don't have time. And I'm someone who sleeps a lot and naps a lot. So when I was on the train, we were on our way to Cambridge and Oxford. She was the one to wake me up, be like, hey, we're here. And I'm so glad that she did that. You know, you need a friend who's like that, who does everything and take care of you. But one thing that was very different about our friendship was that our sleeping schedule is very different. She goes to bed at around 10 p.m. and wakes up 6 or 7 to get breakfast. Very healthy lifestyle. Meanwhile, I was the one person who stayed up writing, of course. For my audiences and readers who know me, I write the best when it's midnight, everybody is asleep. And also we were staying with host family. It was a difficult and challenging situation for me as we had to save water and save electricity, and we couldn't make loud noise because the door would be too loud, and then the neighbors next door would also hear it. Everything is really close in London area. We didn't live in London, we lived outside of London. I remember it was Zone 4, but let's just call it far away from London, so that means we have to get up earlier, but it was beautiful. I loved it. They were really great people. I remember there was one time I was sitting on the bathroom floor and doing my essay there, and my host grandmother walked in. She was like, Amy, what are you doing in the middle of the night with the amazing, beautiful British accent? And I just looked up. I got so scared because she walked in out of nowhere in the dark. And then I said, oh, because I wanted to, save the electricity and I didn't want to go too far. Partially, I was really afraid to go downstairs and have the lights on by myself. It was dark. I was afraid of dark. I was such a baby. Still am a baby. Anyways, so that happened, and I was so upset at my friend because she was my roommate, and that's the reason I couldn't be in the room. She wanted to sleep. She wanted all lights off. But we were great teammates. We went to museums and we went to different places to watch theaters, and we watched a lot of shows. It was interesting, and I believe we were both very independent. So I would buy tickets from Mamma Mia, and she went to watch a different show, and we would just meet up and go home together. I thought that was very cute. And it was amazing to share experience with a person, with a friend, from traveling and back to daily life. And years from now, we're just still really, really close friends, best friends to each other. We talk about movies. We watch a lot of things together, from documentaries to funny clips to girly things, all the things that we could talk about. And I just want to say it's so nice to have a friend who understands and who actually is always there for you. you don't get a lot of people like that in your life. And I'm so glad that I met this girl in London study abroad, and now we're still really, really close friends. For people who want to know what I did exactly in London study abroad, you could check out Evelyn's podcast that I mentioned a few episodes ago, and it's also on my Instagram and website. So for sure, if you cannot find it, DM me. I will link it to you. It's a really great episode on Evelyn's podcast. So we also took field trips when we were in London, and what happened was when we were in Stratford, where Shakespeare was from, crazy story happened again. I don't understand why drama always happens near me, or maybe I'm just someone who attracts stories. That's why I'm here doing a podcast. Well, what happened was that I bought a neon bag out of nowhere. The reason why I bought it was because I'm not the person who uses backpack on a daily basis. Because I love different accessories. I believe it's part of my fashion, and backpacks don't look good with me. But for that field trip, I believe it was best to use a backpack to put everything in, of course. So I just happened to buy a backpack that was on sale, and I didn't really care what color it was. I remember it was from Adidas. It was neon. So if you're listening to this, you were there with me, you know what's going to happen. When we were all standing in front of Shakespeare's house in Stratford, and our professor was talking about a history and we were taking photos, I heard a lot of like buzz sound. And I was like, what is that? What is that? I'm so scared of bugs, and I'm so scared of those kind of things. And everybody was screaming around me like, Amy, what's that on your back? Why are they moving? And I was like, oh no, don't tell me, no way. And I was like so scared because I heard the sound of the buzzing just came on like closer and closer. So I took off my backpack, and you know what I saw? That was something I could never forget. I could not unsee that. There were like bugs stuck on my neon backpack. I'm not sure if it was the color or the quality of the bag or the material. All the bugs stuck onto my bag, and I tried to shake it off. It did not work. So you see, my professor was looking at me like, Amy, I'm in the middle of talking, and I felt really sad and scared. So I just ran off. I literally ran off to a different place, and I was all over the place, literally, and I tried to shake the bugs off, and that was the last time I've ever used that backpack. Till this day, my friend's still laughing at me about it. And yeah, don't buy a neon backpack when you're going under the sun near a forest or near any nature or something. For some reason that happened, and I had to search up the history of the Stratford and all the Shakespeare's birth stories because it was a part of the test coming up. But that's what happened. In the end, I went to the souvenir store and I got a backpack with Shakespeare's head on it. So like printed on it. And so yeah, that was a story out of nowhere that I thought of I wanted to share with you guys. And for those who are interested in going there to Stratford, to his house, Shakespeare's house, there is a signing book there, like a check-in book for tourists and guests all over the world to sign their names and the dates. Maybe if you flip the book back to 2016, you might be able to find my signature there. I was thinking, one day if I could just be a writer, and then people could go back, be like, oh, Amy left her name there. I guess that was just something on my mind that I did. Speaking of writer, during my study abroad, I got to take different trips to different places. For example, like the Elephant's Cafe, where J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter in Edinburgh. And it was great. It was colder than I expected from someone in Seattle. I wore shorts when I was there, and I remember I encountered a bunch of high schoolers. There was a cute high schooler who came up to me in the middle of the park. And he came up to me and said, could I get a photo with you? I thought you looked really pretty. Something like that. Oh wow, I'm so bad at accent imitation. Glad I don't have to do voice acting on a daily basis. And then my friend was like, oh my gosh, he's a high schooler, And I mean, there's nothing wrong with high schoolers, but it was just funny. Maybe at that time I look young. I look much older now. But that happened and it was funny. I was like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. It's fine. Just you're in the middle of the field trip. Like, he left his group of friends to just come over and talk to me like that. And my friend was like, oh, well, why not? Just take a photo. Give me his phone. Give me his phone. And then, so we did take a photo. I still have the photo, but I'm not gonna post it. Why not? If my boyfriend is listening to this episode, yep, I did take a photo with him, but that was it. Nothing more. And I did not give him my contact information. Okay, moving on. So back to my story. I remember going to Baker Street, Sherlock Holmes, visiting everywhere with my friend. And we had videos and photos taken everywhere. We would take 10 photos, 20, 40, 50 for each other everywhere. So it was just nice, I guess. She's very patient with me. I don't know how she makes that happen, but I'm glad that she did. And I appreciate it a lot, honestly. Till this day, she's still one of my best friends, and we share a lot of things together. It's always so nice to have someone you could talk to so easily about everything and anything. I always tell her she's my free therapist. That is such a bad way to phrase it. But we have a lot of things in common, and that's why we love watching movies together, and we share different kind of poems and books to each other, and we would talk about all these different crazy things happening in the world. What does that mean to you? Did you see the news? And what's your perspective on this? What is your thought on this article? There are so many things I could share with this girl, and it's almost crazy, and I just feel so lucky that I have someone who I could share the world with. That sounds like a really romantic confession. But this is what this episode is about, dedicating this episode to her. And she's someone who loves cats. So wherever I go, I see cats, I think of her. And on top of that, every time I eat something nice and sweet, or pie, or when it comes to tea, I think of her too, because she told me I'm the person who gets her into loving tea. She said she didn't really drink tea before she became friends with me. I guess that's the influencer power. I'm not even an influencer myself. Okay, but I guess that's what happens when you become friends with someone and you just start to catch little different things this person does. So I love her, and I also dedicated a few sentences at the end of my book just for her. Just like I wrote, I believe every conversation with this girl, this friend, is like motivating me to write another book. Sometimes the subtle things that she says just inspires me to write a different poem, to write a different book. She's one of the most friendly, kind, smartest people I've ever met. There's so many things that she sees in her eyes, and the way she views the world is so unique that I believe everybody should be friends with her, and I'm lucky to have her by my side. She's always the first person to listen to my every podcast episode, always the first person to like my writing post, to read, and to support me on anything and everything I do. So I'm just so lucky, and when it comes to dedicating an episode on podcast just for her, this is it. I want her to know that I care so much for her and I love her so much as my friend. So Amy, her name is also Amy, yes, but it's spelled differently. It's spelled E-M-I, and my name is spelled A-M-Y. So Amy and Amy, we are the Amys. It's really funny. Every time she comes over to a party that I host, everybody will be asking, or everybody would be talking about our names at first when I first met. Be like, Amy, Amy, and we would both turn our head. Did you just say something to me? And we're like, oh, that Amy, this Amy. I know there's something about my name that is common in Taiwan. When I was growing up there are different kids whose name was also Amy, and I kind of disliked how the teacher would say Amy 1, Amy 2. I just don't want to be that number 2. And I feel bad if I'm like the Amy number 1. There'll be like a different Amy number 2. I don't know why Taiwanese teachers would ever do that. Do they do that here? I guess Amy is a older name. these days. I don't encounter people who has similar or same name with me. But we'll leave the name discussion for a different episode. So coming back to my friendship with Amy, it's very interesting and all my family members love her. She visited Taiwan with me and it was challenging for her with the weather changes. For those who don't know, who's never been to Taiwan, Taiwan is a tropical island and it has a relatively hot weather in summer and it's heat wave everywhere. It's definitely hard for foreigners to come over in summer. For those who are traveling to Taiwan, I would recommend the best time to travel is probably during spring break or in the fall. That is pleasantly nice weather for people to visit Taiwan. So there we go. When it comes to friendship between two girls, sometimes it gets me worried at first from my past experience. I would always worry about if the girl is not honest or straightforward with you and you have to guess what this girl is thinking. But those never happen in between my friendship with Amy. We were always there for each other and we were always transparent when it comes to conversations. I would tell her about my worries and updates with life and she does the same with me. So when she comes over to my place, I don't have to feel the need to put on makeup. I trust her fully and I know she'll accept me the way I am, and that is very valuable on its own. I appreciate her so much. So if she comes over, I would bring out all my snacks and tea and I'll ask her, which one do you like? I would just pack everything in for you so you could bring it back. So that is really great, and I really liked it when she invited me over for Thanksgiving dinner. So as you know, I don't have family members living in Seattle with me. So it was very nice for her to invite me over to her place. That was my first and foremost Thanksgiving dinner with her and her family back in college. We made mashed potatoes and we watched Crazy Rich Asians on the TV with her family. So it was amazing and I loved it so much. She also mentioned to me that when she's hanging out with me, she feels extra girly because I take a lot of photos on a daily basis, and she loves doing the so-called photo shoot with Amy. I remember there was one fall she drove me around and we would just take photos, drive just to take photos on the spot when we see that's pretty, like there are pretty leaves in the fall, you know, girls things, autumn. And although we still have our differences, just like how she loves cats and I love dogs, but doesn't mean we don't love the other. I still go to cat cafes with her, and it was really funny how I went to cat cafe with her. I believe it was in Wallingford, Seattle, and it was crazy when I was kind of scared. The cat suddenly jumped on me and I just froze. I didn't know what to do. And Amy was like, Amy, you're the selected one. The cat chose you. You should feel happy. Oh my gosh, you're so cute. And I would be like, oh no, take a photo. Take a photo, I guess. And I just froze and my smile was also frozen. I was so scared of the cat punching me in the face or something. So for those who don't know, there were like two cats who almost scratched my eyes when I was young, and I was traumatized ever since then. But I still love dogs, and I guess that's the reason why I'm not that good with cats, but they're adorable from a distance. I love cats, don't get me wrong. I just don't want them on me, if that makes sense. So I did enjoy the cat cafes with her. There are just so many different places we visited together. From traveling to being in my apartment and watching movies or talking about academic related stuffs. I'm just so glad that Amy's there to help me and to guide me through a lot of things, and I do the same with her when it comes to different life updates and different decisions in life. That is so important. I know she's that girl I would definitely bring when I go dress shopping in the near future, but I'll keep you guys updated for that. And every time she shows up, I just feel so much comfort and I feel like I can be myself around her. I remember the first time when I saw her. It's been a while since I was in Taiwan for almost a year. 1 year and 3 months, or maybe longer than that. I remember she showed up in front of the elevator when the elevator door opened, and I just hugged her. And that moment, I wanted to cry so badly. I hugged her for a very long time, and that was the first time I came back and we saw each other this year. She was also really glad, and she noticed I was about to cry. And this is the thing, when one girl cries, another girl just starts crying, so I did not make that happen. I was just saying, I'm so glad to see you again. Words cannot express how happy I felt during that moment. Like a reunion with her. I'll say long distance friendship is not more difficult, just as difficult as romantic relationship that's long distance. So I'm glad that we still have each other at the end of the day, and I just want to support her on everything that she does for the rest of her life. Here's my confession to you, Amy. So this is a little bit cringy, but I love our friendship and I'm so glad that you're in my life. And why am I doing this? Just to appreciate you. That's it. There's no other reason why I'm recording an episode just for you, but I'm glad that you showed up in my life and you're staying in it, and we just have a lot to look forward to. I'm very exciting for what's to come, very exciting for creating memories and shopping with you, and we would just go into a random store, Macy's, and try on different prom dresses because why not? We love it, and I understand. It's really cute when she takes me shopping and we will walk by Disney store. She'll look at me, Amy, I know you like Disney stuff. Do you want to take a look? That's when I know she's one of those best friends that will stick with me for the rest of my life. I guess that's the little details that count. It's always the little moments that I remember from this person and from the friendship. So thank you for being one of my best friends in my life, Amy. And I'm looking forward to having you as a guest on my podcast. We've been talking about this for 2 years now, so I cannot wait to have you and invite you over, and we'll talk about things that you want to talk about and tell my audiences. So stay tuned for that, everybody. In the next 3 weeks, I will still be having more episodes dedicating to interesting, important people in my life. So I hope you enjoyed today's content, from the little stories happening in London to how I value my friendship with Amy. For more information, you can always visit my Instagram at ahcpoetry or email me at ahcpoetry@gmail.com. I'm looking forward to hearing your stories as well, and anything you want to share with me, from poetry to life updates to why you love your friends. So comment down below or rate me 5 stars on App Store. I would appreciate it. And this is your host, Amy. I will see you next week. Good night.